we finish young, and I
Yeah.
think that is the best stage to get your
It is.
hifz done. But what about, because I know I've met so many people that they feel like the age is a barrier. You know, people in their 20s, 30s, like, I want to memorize the Quran, I can't do it anymore. What would you say to them?
You know, the thing is, man, I used to think that too. But you know, and I teach Quran too, right?
Yeah.
So, with younger children, obviously, it's not just with Quran. It's anything that they learn at a young age. It sticks with them. Like it really sticks with them, and so maybe that's why people say it's easier, right? But one thing that's different between adults and kids is kids lack the self-discipline to do something, right? So, for example, and you know, we were disciplined by our teachers when we were younger. Today, that's kind of lost and it's a bit more difficult. So even with younger children, you'll find that it's very difficult to get them to memorize at least the same quality as before because they just don't behave, and the teachers can't do nothing, and it's like really hard to get them to do anything. But alhamdulillah, they still do it. But when they do it as kids, because you're younger, whatever you remember, it sticks with you, man.
Yeah.
Like let me share something with you. I remember when I first started my hifz, okay? My mom needed my teacher's number, his phone number, right?
Yeah.
So I go to him, I'm like, hey, Qari Sahib, you know, my mom needs to speak to you. What's your phone number? Can you write it down for me? He goes, write it down for you? He's like, you're here to memorize the Quran? You want me to write it? He's like, okay, repeat after me. I'm not going to say the number. I was going to say the number, but because it's the same number.
You still know it, yeah?
Yo, bro, to this day, the only two numbers that I know are my mom's phone number and my teacher's phone number.
Way.
Wallahi, bro. Wallahi, man.
That is so funny.
Like, as kids, when you memorize something, like, it sticks longer, right? But I honestly think, man, not just with adults, but older, you know, like teens or whatever, if they're serious, it could be a lot easier for adults and teens to memorize the Quran if they have that self-discipline, because something that kids don't have is that, you know, that motivation to do it themselves. But I meet adults, man, that, like, you know, when they want to get something done, they'll get it done. They'll put in that effort. I don't have to go and say, brother, please read. Did you read your lesson today? Please read, man. Please. Like, you know, the guy is like, he's going to read on his own. And, you know, you don't have to discipline an adult. You don't have to, you know, these guys take it seriously themselves. So because of that, you know, I sometimes think it's easier to teach adults than it is kids, because kids requires a lot more patience. Yeah. But when kids do learn something finally, it sticks a bit longer, right? So that's why they probably say that's the best time to do it, because if you do it, then inshallah it will stay with you for a longer time. But that doesn't mean that it's harder, you know, to do it as an adult. It just means that you gotta, you know, motivate yourself, man, and try your best.
It takes a lot of willpower, I think.
It does.
You can do it. I mean, I still vividly remember in my class when I was young, and this is me going back to that when I was like 11, 12 years old, there was a person who was a lot more senior than us. He was literally 42 years old, and his own sons were in the madrasa enrolled, right? And he was doing hifz with us, and he started like 2-3 years before we did, and even by the time we finished, he continued, like he still hadn't finished. It took him double the time. But the crazy thing is, like, after I graduated and after a few years, I found out, mashallah, like this uncle, he's finished his hifz. So imagine he started at the age of 39, 40. He finished when he was 46, 47. And having said all of that, with him being a parent, he used to come in late because he was coming in from work.
Absolutely,
and he had that.
That's the biggest challenge, because they have these other things, you know, as adults. So you have that motivation. But then what is that? There's that one quote that's like, you know, when you're older, you know, you don't have the time, but you have the money. When you're younger, you don't have the money. You know what I'm talking about, right? There's that whole like cycle. So there's always pros and cons, man. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so coming to yourself, then you started really young. What was it that kind of motivated you or